When I was over on CNN, we tried to get information out of Virginia. We wanted to know what was being taught in some of these Virginia mosques, and gosh, we couldn't do it. We called the State Department. Oh, that was a mistake. Sharia law is here in the United States, and it is creeping. We're the most healthy. Would you agree? We're the most healthy in the world on this?
So far.
So far. Absolutely. We're the most healthy. But I got news for you. When you see what's here already, we're pretty sick as a patient. I'm just waiting for the right time. Back in a minute. Yeah. This is fantastic because Frank Gaffney, Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin, Eric Stakelbeck, and me, all named by Center for American Progress in Fear Inc. We're all Islamophobes. So I'm in good company with people who will speak the truth and speak their mind and speak without fear. All right, let's talk a little bit about Sharia law and how it is creeping in here. We just saw somebody arrested for honor killing. They just tried somebody up in Canada.
Convicted.
Yeah, convicted. Yeah, but in Canada, it's really prevalent up there, is it not? Sharia law.
It's Sharia law. We probably ought to define at this late stage of the program. Is partly about religion, about the sort of pietistic practice of the faith. But as we determined in our book, Sharia, the Threat to America, it's really fundamentally about power, not about faith. It's a political, military, legal doctrine for not only how people should conduct themselves individually and in relationship to others, but how the world should be run. You've talked about the caliphate. We're honoring the one-year anniversary of your predictions about it. It's required by Sharia. And its adherents, again, not all Muslims, but a significant subset of them, and unfortunately, the authorities of Islam, the traditions of Islam that hold to this, they command jihad as directed by Sharia for the purposes of bringing about this Islamic age in which the entire world will be governed by it.
Let's talk a little bit about Sharia finance, because that Sharia finance has been really quite helpful to the coming war on the West.
There's a major push, and Frank has done groundbreaking work on this. There's a major push afoot among people like even Michael Bloomberg, the New York City mayor, to make banks in the U.S., insurance companies in the U.S., AIG, for instance.
AIG isn't the largest Sharia compliant?
Yes.
Insurance purveyor in the world.
Right.
Sharia compliant. Your local bank may be Sharia compliant. Most Americans probably don't even know it. They might switch banks if they knew.
And they might say, many people will say, well, what difference does it make if it's Sharia compliant to me? Okay, so they're Sharia compliant. Big deal. So Muslims can do banking here. It's like going to a kosher deli. Okay, what difference does it make to me?
Can I say what difference it makes?
Yeah.
We talked about Qaradawi, the sort of Khomeini of this particular program. What makes a Sharia compliant transaction Sharia compliant is fundamentally not that it doesn't involve interest or pork or gambling or tobacco or alcohol. It really comes down to the fact that somebody like a Qaradawi says it's halal. That is to say, it's pure as opposed to haram or impure. What Qaradawi has said about Sharia compliant finance that makes it so great from his point of view is that the proceeds of it, the tithing, the zakat as they call it, that is skimmed off of it, at least an eighth of it, according to Sharia, must go to jihad. So it's jihad with money, as he's put it. That's what makes this a problem for all of us.
We have found, I mean, I was in New Canaan, Connecticut, which is about, this is where I used to live. It's about 85 or 95% Wall Street. when it collapsed, man, I saw people just, I mean, it was bad. The whole town was just about wiped out. But there was one place that was doing fine. And it's the home of a hedge fund, a Sharia compliant hedge fund. Well, I started looking into this hedge fund, and I'm looking into it saying, well, this isn't really good. Look at who's tied to some of this. And it's all very nice and clean, but it's an unregulated hedge fund.
Glenn, while we're talking, I'm not really changing the subject, but we're talking about Qaradawi, and his importance cannot be underestimated. Everyone at home needs to know his name, Yousef Qaradawi. I had a recent experience with the White House over Yousef al-Qaradawi. There was a report in a leading Indian daily newspaper, very credible, that Yousef al-Qaradawi was working with the Obama administration as a mediator in peace talks with the Taliban. So Qaradawi, this generation's Khomeini, who's called for the killing of U.S. troops, is acting as a mediator on our behalf between us and the Taliban. Now, we contacted the White House about this, and the White House told CBN, that report is not accurate. They didn't say that report is wrong, they just said it's not accurate. 90% of it is accurate, maybe 10% isn't. That's what we're dealing with right now. That sums it up right there. We are using a jihadist sworn to our destruction as a mediator.
General, I'm going to come back to a question that you didn't really answer. Frank did, and I'm not going to ask you the same question. I'm going to ask you a different one, but similar. The only thing that doesn't appear to be corrupted, and the only thing, quite honestly, that we still have faith in, but I believe that's being corroded as well, just by this long, drawn-out, never-ending, never really finishing it kind of war that we're in. People love the military. But look nobody really said anything when our troops came back from Iraq, and they should be honored. Nothing was said. How much trouble? I feel like our military is being set up big time in and out of our country. There's no way, when you look at all the things that have happened, there's no way this thing is going to spread like wildfire. It's all centered around Israel. I don't even know if we're on Israel's side or not, really. I don't even know what's going on there. How do our troops handle this? With as stretched as we are on our budget, with as stretched as we are, we've got good men who are tired. And I mean, well, I'll take it from the DOJ. We've got gangs infiltrating all levels, according to the DOJ, of our military now. Gangs. How do we survive this?
Well, again, we said it on the last time I was here with you. The gangs have infiltrated our military. There are Islamic elements within our military, Nadal Hassan being a classic case. And by the way, nobody wanted to deal with Hassan when he gave a 50-slide briefing saying what he was and what his allegiance to, which was not the Constitution of the United States. So
wait. I don't even think I know that one. You know,
Soldier of the law.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. He gave a
presentation about
50-slide briefing. Yeah, he gave a 50-slide briefing to senior medical officers in the Department of Defense, in the Army. And he made very clear in that 50-slide brief that he was a soldier of Allah. He even carried it on his business card, and that his allegiance was really not to the Constitution of the United States. So, and no one dealt with that. No one did anything. So, back to your question, the military is being infiltrated by these insurgent elements. Now, let's just look at the...
That's an isolated incident. That was a workplace shooting.
Yeah, okay. All right, Glenn. And you believe in Santa Claus, I bet. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. There may be some who do. But we bring down our military just as we bring down our economy. It's all part of the Marxist agenda. And the Muslim Brotherhood entities that want to destroy our nation are working with these Marxist entities to do exactly that, destroy the nation and the military. As long as you have a strong military, a military that is still credible, that is credible around the world, you can't change America the way they want to. And we're moving very rapidly to bring that military to a point where it is not credible and ineffective as a result of these things. And that's my personal view.
Well, on that happy note, we're going to take a break. I'm going to go wet my pants, and then we'll be back.
بد أن نبذل جهدا في تعليم الناس حقيقة الإسلام، وإنما الناس يعني لا تفهم الشريعة كما ينبغي. إحنا في حاجة أننا نعرف الناس أحكام الشريعة ونبينها للناس قبل كل شيء، ونقعد مدة نعرف الناس. أنا أعتقد أن ال5 سنين الأولى دي ليس فيها قطع يعني أيدي ولا أي، لابد فيها من التعليم والبيان وهذه الأشياء، فترة
مرحلة انتقالية.
All right, let's spend a few minutes on what's coming. What's coming?
Well, we were talking during the break that Al-Qaeda has issued statements already, Glenn, saying that this 2011 was the year of the despots, the secular fascist dictators in the Middle East. This year is the year of the kings. And I believe Saudi Arabia will be in the crosshairs, and I believe Jordan, especially King Abdullah, will be in the crosshairs. If you look at what Abdullah is doing right now, he feels it. He's reaching out to the Muslim Brotherhood, talking about sharing power with them. He's reaching out to Hamas, welcoming them back into Jordan. Keep an eye on Jordan, right on Israel's borders, and Saudi Arabia. It seems like if
Saudi Arabia falls, correct me if I'm wrong, Saudi Arabia falls, especially, Jordan falls, Israel is done, and so is the United States, and in Western Europe is now beholden to Russia. The rise of Russia becomes huge because they have exploited their resources. They are ready to pump oil all over the world. They ain't going to pump it to us. They'll pump it to China. They'll pump it to Europe if they're beholden to Europe. And we are where? I mean, if Saudi Arabia falls, as a strategic thinker, General, Saudi Arabia falls, they cut off the oil supply. How long does America have to fight? How does she fight?
Well, John Wolford wrote a book in 1974 that talked about this called Armageddon, Oil, and Terror, where he says we will reach the point that we will not have the energy to go to war. And that's exactly what will happen. If we lose Persian Gulf oil, and then if Chavez was to cut off our oil coming out of Venezuela,
of course
we could not fight. We couldn't reopen the Persian Gulf.
Could we protect the homeland? Do we have enough resources here to be able to protect the homeland enough? I mean, we don't even have a president that would even understand it. Could we?
We have enough resources here to be energy independent for centuries, probably. But we don't.
No, I mean access. I know we do it under the ground.
Right.
Do we have access to be able to? No.
No.
So, I mean, Russia and all of our enemies who have all of that.
It's our Achilles heel, Glenn, is our dependence on foreign oil.
Okay, so let's just say in a year from now, do you think the world will be at war?
I believe the Middle East will be at war with, I would say as a betting man, by the end of 2012, we're going to see something in the Middle East. I believe this is the year of reckoning for Iran's nuclear weapons program. And the interesting thing here, guys, is everyone says Israel is going to strike Iran's nuclear facilities. I believe Israel will. I believe they're going to do it. I believe they have no choice. Yeah. But I also believe that Iran might get this started off by instigating a proxy war on Israel's borders and strike first.
They're full of bluster right now. They see the weakness around the world and the anti-Semitism.
It's not bluster, and you know, even Jim Clapper, a man who I've been very critical of in the past, among other things, for saying last year in testimony to Congress, it's just a secular group that has eschewed violence. But he said yesterday, before Congress, that Iran is now preparing for attacks against the United States, may think it can do them. One of the things you've talked about on the show, I know, in the past, and that I think we better be thinking about in this context as well. You asked about, you know, the security of our homeland. One of the things that the Iranians have repeatedly said in the person of the president is that not only they want to wipe Israel off the map, that's all it is, but that a world without America is not only desirable, it's achievable. And I've thought a lot about this, as I'm sure my colleagues have. There's only really one way I could see them doing that. And unfortunately, it's a way we've watched them preparing for. If you take a missile,
don't say EMP,
and you launch it over the United States, and you detonate it with a nuclear warhead outside the atmosphere, you can crater this country, as you know, and as you've talked about.
I know.
But here's the thing.
100 million dead in the first 6 months.